Naomi, I just said me, girl. Hello. Hello, panel. Hello. I've been listening to you all. I think I wanted to talk to you all because I hear this conversation. Another person who got married young. Hi, still married. But I think, my view, everybody is pushing this responsibility. I can't breathe. Everybody is pushing this responsibility on a 19, 20, 22-year-old girl. Typically, when a girl marries that young, her family and the family of the groom is heavily involved in said marriage. Because hear me out, hear me out. If you don't have a family structure, you are bound to fail. Because you, as a young person, no matter how in love you are, no matter what that puppy love is, you're not ready for the ins and outs and the boringness of marriage after the first 5 years.
Exactly.
You're not ready. Your family has to be there to train you and help you through. If you don't have that, you're going to fail. And you still should get married younger. It doesn't mean that, oh, because I don't have a family structure, I'm going to wait till I'm 30. No, you shouldn't do that. If you do, that's your decision, but I don't recommend that for the masses. The other thing I wanted to bring up was when we're dang it, I forgot what the other point was. I hate when this happens. Yeah, it's because you guys start talking and have so many topics
But
going
Amira,
on.
who do
It's
they lean
okay.
on if
Take your
they don't
Second,
time.
have
one
if they
second,
don't
one
have the
second.
Yeah,
family
take your
Just
time.
structure?
one moment, one moment, one moment. It's coming back to me. Hold on. Okay, so okay. So you have these people who are getting married and they have the family structure, right? If you do not have that, you're not going to be successful. The other thing is about having children. Because you're that fertile at that age, when you get married that young, you're bound to have plentiful children. And just like Lady Di said, she doesn't want to be an old mother. It's okay if you have babies in your 30s, but you shouldn't be having your first, second, and third in your late 30s, 40s. You shouldn't be doing that. Go,
Amir,
Bohemian, stop getting mad at me.
Amir, we're talking about women who've been busting it open since they were 17, 18. We didn't
Well,
factor that in. I know y'all didn't want to, but we talking about women who's complaining about being grown or mature enough to be in the marriage, but they throwing that ass back.
but that's
Let
because they
Amira
didn't have
finish.
a family structure, most likely. Because if you did, you wouldn't have been able to do that. Like, if you did, you would have been protected. These are
You're saying
unprotected
you're
women.
advocating for younger marriage, but the type of younger marriage, your culture provides a system to protect those younger people. Because, like you said, alone, they aren't ready for it. Here, our culture doesn't do that. Our
Black
culture,
culture
we don't
didn't
have
doesn't
that support
really
system. So
but you
then what are we advising for those girls that are out here in America without that support system? I would
You're
hope we're not saying
exposed.
18 and be ill advised and still do it anyways.
I have
This is
I do have a child. They married young. His high school sweetheart. He had a lot of support from the mom and daddy and in-laws. You got, like Amir said, they got to have that family support,
But I'm
and they've
saying,
been
what do
together
we do when
15
they
years.
don't?
And there's a lot of them do. There's still some that still last at the end of the day. We can't just use that as an excuse. That's just not how life works. At the end of the day, if they want to get married, they're gonna look. Life is about trial and errors, and you're definitely gonna learn when you're younger. That's the thing. As a person who did marry young, you still learn certain things when you're younger. I don't say that you should get married at 18 for sure, but I'm thinking I would say as long as you go to college, get your skill set. I would say take half of your 20s building your skill set up, and I do say be married by the age of. You should have your boo by the time you're 25.
I didn't have support when I was young. Like my parents didn't want me to get married young, and they were wanting me to keep dating. And then when I realized that that was destruction, then I was like, okay, I'm gonna take matters in my own hand. So I didn't have support. I had to get wise. I was saying it earlier. You have to get wise. You have to experience. Not saying you got to fuck around with everybody, literally, but you have to gain experience and you have to be very observant. Because when you look outside, that is not it. Like being not a wife and you have kids with men and stuff, that's struggle. And people do it, right? We all have family members that have, or you may have that. That's not the life that you want. So you just have to figure it out. Get wise. You can do it. Especially with Google and all this stuff. You got a whole bunch of stuff that could get you there. Especially now, YouTube and people right here, we talking about it. So I mean, hey.
Because
So
I'm just saying, let's encourage
so
them to stay
hold
virgins
on,
then.
Lady O. Hold on,
Okay.
Lady O. So I do like the conversation that y'all are having, ladies. I can't say that I'm mad at it, right? So if we actually take this at face value, if you listen to the women's concerns and we listen to what we believe to work, right? Then I would like to pose this question to Bo, Sierra, Laisha, and Katura. If we were to begin to raise the children, because obviously we're not talking about ourselves. We way too far gone and a lot of us are cooked. But if we were to raise our children to be marriage minded and to also have the backing of the family, so to speak, like Amira stated, then would y'all actually be okay with children actually marrying between the ages of, I wouldn't say 18, but 19 to 22, 23?
I so when Amira started talking, I was like, Lord help. But when she said about like the family support, I was like, you know what? That makes all the sense in the world. I still think that anyone should wait until 22, 23, ideally 25 to get married. But if it's going to happen young, we absolutely have to have people that have that experience of being divorced and successfully married in your family to support you. Yes. And I wouldn't have a problem with that. But it would take your family being in your business. And if you okay with that, which most men are not okay with, right? Because I've heard that on this panel before. Men are not okay
If you
with
hear it on the
women
panel, that
going and
means
talking
most
to their
men.
family.
That's just
Huh?
maybe the panel.
Say
You
what?
say you hear that on a panel and you associate that with most men. That's pretty inaccurate, don't you think?
No, a lot of men don't like that women go and talk to their mothers or their sisters, like their family members, about their relationships. A
I've
lot
never
of
heard of
men
that.
do not like that.
We're talking
Okay.
about
But
young men, right? We're talking
let's
about
just
young men.
say let's just say some men. Let's just say some men. Some men are not okay with that. But if you are okay with that, I think that that is a pretty good solution for getting married young. I think
So,
that's fair.
and I can see that. So the question is to the ladies again, is what do you think we would have to teach? And then I had the fellas answer the question for the ladies when we get back up here. What do you think that family would have to teach young men to make y'all okay with marrying men at that age?
So,
Where
as
are we
somebody,
starting from? Are we just going, or are we
can you
starting
repeat
left,
that
right,
again? I'm
Uh,
sorry. Can
bottom?
I
you
was about
repeat
to
that
say,
question?
Actually,
what would y'all have? What would y'all need families to begin to teach young men to be prepared for marriage for y'all? What are some things y'all would like for them to know?
I
I
think
would
we should
like for
start with
men.
Sierra and come around and down and
Yeah,
around.
Okay.
we can go
Why don't y'all
Sierra and then
just go
rotate
with who
around.
wants to answer right now?
I
I
want to
mean,
answer.
cause order.
Somebody might lose their thought. We just saw Sierra
Popcorn it,
suffer from
popcorn it.
that.
Let's start with Laisha and just popcorn it.
And I want to answer simply because I'm having to come with reality that my daughter's about to start talking to boys. It gives me the ick. But I would like for her to have to meet the type of person that understands respect, understands kindness, understands that um, you can always grow in any aspect, no matter what age, no matter like what achievements you have. I would like for her to have a man that appreciates her input and doesn't try to discredit her. Um, I would like somebody that is level headed and has a sense of calmness about themselves, because I notice in my generation and the younger generation and hers, um, a lot of men tie aggression with manhood and masculinity, and I don't want that for her. What I would say as well as being a great partner includes understanding that it's not about what other people say y'all's roles are, it's about what you excel in. And that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Everything doesn't have to be traditional. I wouldn't preach traditionalism to her. I would preach finding somebody that there are things in your life you know you won't compromise with, and there are things in his life he won't compromise with. Can you both concede to each other on those things? And then can you both find the things you will compromise with?
How does
Find
she
somebody
know?
that just aligns with your values and you align with his.
How
Because
does she
I'm
know?
never going to tell her, get with somebody and then end up in a marriage where you are not happy. Because I don't care what anybody else in this planet says, let alone these comments. If my daughter comes to me in
How does your
shambles,
daughter know what she won't compromise on? And that got, at that age, that would have to be taught, don't you think?
because I don't advocate for her to be married
Okay, well
before
then, I'd rather you say I'm teaching her not to
2024.
compromise on the things than say she know because she never had any experience.
No, but that's what I'm saying. She's going to have her list of things because at 24, she'll have enough dating experience. You get what I'm
Uh,
saying? Yeah. I'm advocating for my child to be
I
married
thought he was
at.
talking about teaching her at a young age. I didn't
Oh
know
no.
she
No, I
left the
thought the
house.
question was like what characteristics would we be saying to look for if we were advocating for our children to be married young? I want her to be married at a young enough age where they can build together, but at an old enough age where she has certain things figured out. That's why I
Well,
can't
the
I
reason
don't
why I
like
said that is because what you're
youngness.
saying is at 24,
Bruiser.
you're basically
Hold
saying
on,
she's
Bruiser, Bruiser,
predisposed
Bruiser,
Bruiser.
to
Bruiser. I
already.
gotta
Hold
get
on, wait,
Bruiser.
hold
Making
on.
I
one
gotta
on
get
you.
everybody to answer the question first, bro.
Well, she is
Y'all,
answering the question. I'm just
well, yeah,
clarifying.
but now y'all about to have a whole
We're
discussion. I'm
not about to
trying to
have
get
a whole
around.
back and forth. But all I'm saying is, when you say at 24, I think if it's safe to say that we should start at when you start preparing her to be a wife and mother, and I don't think the women would start at 24, right?
Oh no. I thought the question was what would make me feel comfortable? What are the characteristics in that opposite partner that would make me feel comfortable with her being married young? I'm listing those characteristics.
No, can you rephrase that question again, Mr. Sweeney, please?
Well,
Yeah, if I answered it wrong,
Sierra,
like
are
if
you
I
there?
didn't understand the question right, I'm sorry.
No, I think
All
you're
right,
okay, but okay, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
All right, so because I'm gonna pose the question, I actually want Sierra to answer it next. So, again, my question is: since we established, one of the things that Amir said was that there was a family structure, and we believe that it has to be taught. You have to be taught to be a husband and wife early on to actually be prepared for these things. I'm asking the ladies, what would be, what would you hope for us to teach young men to make them marriageable to y'all at that age?
Yeah, those are the qualities that I would hope my son-in-law has and I hope she would be looking for.
All right,
That would make me comfortable.
Sierra.